Still an accident westbound 80 at El Camino. Also westbound 80 at Madison. Traffic brought to you by ZeroResSacramento.com. Here is Dan. What's up?
Hey, Sean. Good morning. Well, we skip over the Monday, so let's go to the Chicago shooting report. 27 shot, 5 dead. And as usual, no suspects. Nobody, but police are looking into it. Yeah, sure, that'll work out. I was looking at the annual report of homicides so far. So far, Chicago has 450 homicides. Of course, none of them are solved. The average over the last, 30 years or so I'm looking at from 1990 is the highs were maybe 900. The lows were about 500. So we're still about average, but they're making this. This is a recent report from the Chicago Tribune that fewer people have been killed since last year, but by 32, by the way. But here's the thing: we still have 2 months to go. Much can happen because I only report the weekend shootings. There's many more shootings throughout the week that I don't report on. It is, again, the ongoing thing of Chicago being this war zone that needs to be dealt with. I mean, the police are completely frozen out to do anything, any sort of service. All they do is sort of pick up the mess, tape things off, and then issue a report. That's where we are with Chicago. It's really sad.
I'm wondering.
I want to talk. Yes.
Well, I don't want to take up all of your time. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I wasn't going to talk about this, but let's talk about the Columbus Day, or not Indigenous People Day. When the 13 colonists became the U.S., and it was the first 13 states, and they started moving westward, the way it sounded is if they were marauders, and they're just looting and pillaging anything in their path from all the way to the Pacific Ocean. That's not true. All that was there was no government, there was no structure whatsoever. No cities were destroyed. It wasn't a war like they're planning. They were just people there. They were just tribes. There was no semblance of order whatsoever. And, either they moved or they integrated with the people that were there. Again, this whole misnomer that white society has taken over the United States and doesn't belong to them, that's not true. That was open land. There was nothing out there. They simply expanded like many countries do. That certainly happened in Europe. That certainly happened in other parts of the world. Again, I despise how history is taught in school. Our young people.
It's not being taught. They're making stuff up.
They are. And it's cringe because you look at young people today, they are clueless about everything.
Yeah. Well, Dan, you've done it. I'm bummed out again.
I'm doing my job yet again as Sonoma's worst Mexican.
But finest American.
I'll take that. I'll take a little pat on the shoulder here.
I will see you tomorrow, sir.
Thanks, bud. See you then.
Take care. 20 after 7.
What are those?
It's 7:14 with a look at traffic. Turning to westbound I-80. A hit and run with no injuries at Norwood Avenue. Also a crash on Highway 160 at Richards Boulevard. Traffic brought to you by ZeroResSacramento.com. Here now is Dan. What's up, Dan?
Hey, Sean. Who goes on to you would call it from the Democrat Party the opposition network to go on Bret Baier last night? You go on? I'm talking about Kamala Harris, obviously. You go on because you're desperate. You're absolutely desperate. If she's way ahead in the polls, or she has a very comfortable lead, there's no reason to go on that network, and certainly not against Bret Baier, but she did. This is, again, nothing but desperation. They're flailing in the wind here. So, again, that just reinforces my confidence going into the election.
I still don't get it, though, Dan. Yeah,
how do you mean?
They are desperate. You're right. They're desperate. But she didn't help herself. Why? So they're desperate. They still didn't have to do it.
When you are in a mode of desperation, you don't think clearly. You just don't. I mean, any logical person would have realized that would have backfired on her, and it did. It backfired in a big way. But again, they're not thinking. They're just flailing in the wind. They're swinging at anything. They're 15 runs down. So you swing at anything, and of course you're going to strike out every time.
Bring in the second baseman to pitch.
Absolutely, yes. Bring in the bat boy to pitch. Gavin, that oil story, you only saw it on Cal Globe. I'm looking for it anywhere else. I haven't seen it. Maybe it has been profiled on on other networks locally. I haven't seen anything here.
I've only seen it in California Globe.
That's a huge story. But again,
it is huge.
California Globe's. Well, how come nobody's reporting on it? Again, the
because
news
it makes the Democrats look bad. It makes Newsom look bad. It makes Cammie look bad.
Yeah, I guess so. But again, pathetic reporting. One last thing, and also on California Globe, who's this guy? What is this? George Gascon. This guy, I think I've seen a little insight into his psyche here. He wants to release the Menendez brothers. It's obvious because he wants to have a new trial with quote-unquote new evidence and so forth. I think what's going on here is George Gascon was beaten as a child. I think he hated his parents. He identifies with this story, and I think that's the motivation behind it. These are very sick people that have positions of power. Gascon's certainly one of them here, but there's no other reason to bring up the Menendez trial. We know what they did.
Yeah.
Just let it rest. And but no, Gascon's he's going to do everything he can to interfere with this case and get those men free.
Yeah. Isn't the left beautiful, Dan?
Boy, beautiful is not the word I would use.
Reality is leaking.
Oh, it's hemorrhaging.
Yes. Well, Dan, as always, you are a fine American.
Yes, and I'm not George Gascon, and I'm an A's fan, a Cubs fan, and a lousy Mexican.
And if we're going to mention Gascon, let's give an honorable mention to Rob Bonta.
Oh, my God. Oh, this phone call's just gone downhill.
He may be a bigger turkey than Newsom.
Oh, you without question. Anyway, talk tomorrow, bud.
See you later.
Thanks.
Wow. Karen Carpenter. What a voice. 19 after 7. A wind advisory today. Traffic light around River City. Just a bit of a slowdown. Northbound 99 at 12th. Here now is Dan in Sonoma. What's up, Dan?
Well, what's not up is Yahya Sinwar. So, ha-ha to Yahya. He got
Goodbye
his.
to you.
And there's a great video on Fox News about his last moments here. He's in his very last moments. He's defiant, throwing a stick at a drone that was sent into the building where he was staying. So he got his, and I couldn't be happier about it. There was a story, and I'm looking into it, that his bodyguard was working for the United Nations, and it's I'm certain it's true because the American press isn't even touching this. There's a picture of this guy, his passport, and he worked for the United Nations Relief Organization. So if this is true, and I think it is, no one would be shocked if this is true, that the UN supplied or knew about one of their own helping out someone like Sinwar. The United Nations has needed to be disbanded for the longest time. I was trying to think about what's the last thing they did that was worth anything. I can't remember a thing that they do. We send billions or hundreds of millions of dollars every year to that worthless organization.
Yeah, and that's well put. A worthless organization. That's at best they're worthless. I tend to think they lean toward evil.
Oh, without question. They're a shadow of what they used to be. I mean, they used to be halfway decent. This is back in the World War II days when just after that got started. But now they've completely lost their way with all this here.
The left has been slowly taking hold since the end of World War II.
It has. And Madam Kneepad said something really stupid yesterday after Sinwar's death.
No.
She announced, well, yeah, I know you're shocked to hear this. But it's like this woman can't keep her mouth shut, and she always says the wrong thing, which is her campaign is flailing. And
sounds like me in high school. Anyway, go ahead.
She said after Sinwar's death, now is the time, and there's I forget. She said justification to end the war, which is the last thing you want to do. Sinwar was in charge of, who knows, untold thousands of soldiers, and they're still out there. And thanks to the brilliance and strategy and the intelligence of the Israeli army, they're taking it to them. So they're not done yet. But Nepad can't help herself, and she wants to implement herself in any way, shape, or form to end this war and put Israel back in harm.
The Israelis are smart. They know how to do defense.
Yes.
I mean, when's the last time we heard of an Israeli plane being hijacked? I can't remember. Probably back in...
No.
I don't know.
No. But it's sad that it took October 7th to finally get them to do what they needed to have done a long time ago. I'm one that said that Yasser Arafat, when he was alive, should have been captured and executed for all he did. But no, they played political games with him, and I blame Netanyahu for that. But that finally, it took him decades to finally realize, hey, we need to take some serious action if we're going to save our country.
And they're doing so. No thanks to the U.S. No thanks at all. They don't need us.
No.
But we need them.
They don't.
We need Israel. We need to be on the side of Israel.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. You, my friend, have a great weekend. I'll talk to you Monday.
I will do so, sir. Take care. You're a fine American.
Loves a Mexican.
And an A's fan. KTKZ at 23 after 7.